Hi everyone, I'm David Aragona, and this is the December 15th edition of Horses to Watch, where we carefully analyze trips from the past week, looking for horses that might have encountered adversity and could be worth betting back when they run in the future. I've got my usual couple of races to talk about from Aqueduct this week, as I do like to focus on the New York circuit, but let's start things off with a race from Oaklawn Park, where there's a lot of high-quality racing during this time in the winter, and we're going to talk about a maiden race from there last Saturday. It was race 6 on that Saturday card at Oaklawn. Let's break these horses from the gate. These are Arkansas bred 2-year-olds going 6 furlongs. And I want to focus on the number 1, Where's Randy, a really easy horse to see with that light gray coat. He comes out of the gate maybe about a length behind the field. Not a disaster for a first-time starter, but it's a little difficult to break from the inside. And you're going to see the trouble that rail post position does cause for him as they move down the backstretch, because the pace of this race is on the slower side. And this horse clearly has plenty of tactical speed, but he's rushing up into this pocket in traffic. You can see there's really nowhere to go on the front end. And his rider, check out his body language. He's really leaning back in the stirrups. The reins are taut on this horse. He's got his head bowed a little bit. This is a horse who really wants to do a lot more running than he's being allowed to do. And matters get worse from here as the horse right in front of him, that number 2, starts to lose position, backs up in this horse's face. He's not gaining momentum coming to the top of the stretch, which is a problem in a race that does not feature a particularly fast pace. And here, his rider is angling him off the inside, looking for a path to run, but there's just nowhere to go. He tries to split horses here, gets stymied, has to angle out again. More traffic there. He's got to wait for the eventual winner to go past him on the outside. And by the time he finally gets into the clear here, well past the 8th pole, there's just too much ground to make up. And the winner, 110 Stadium, a horse who already had experience under his belt, just gets the jump on him and wins this race. But Where's Randy? You could argue that he was the best horse in this race because he was in position to win this race from a long way out and just never got into that position where he could make that clear run to the front end. So a horse that definitely ran better than it seems. I should note this race came back on the slower side. The winner just got a 51 buyer. Where's Randy, this runner-up, just got a 45 buyer for this debut performance. But like I said, the pace was on the slow side, and I think that really held down this field's potential of running a faster final time number. So I'm not going to put too much stock in that speed figure. And I do think Where's Randy is a horse that you would want to follow when he runs back at this condition next time out. Let's move on to where I'm more comfortable, Aqueduct. Couple of races from this past weekend. I want to talk about one race from Friday there and one race from Saturday. Beginning with that Friday race, it was the closer on that Friday card, race 8. It's a maiden claiming race going a mile. Let's break these runners from the gate. We're going to focus on the number 2, Oliver's Fortune. Kind of a similar situation to the trip that we just saw with Where's Randy, though obviously over a longer distance. This horse, though, breaks well, and he's one with a lot more experience, but he was coming off some poor performances at Finger Lakes, though he's going out for a trainer, Ralph D'Alessandro, who does really well over the winter at Aqueduct, seems to really get his horses to improve at Aqueduct over their Finger Lakes form when they come into this circuit for the wintertime. And Eric Cancel, the rider of Oliver's Fortune, just makes a bit of a tactical error here because, as I said, the horse broke well, had plenty of tactical speed, but he kind of relinquishes that forward position and finds himself in a pocket behind the horse moving down the backstretch. And watch a couple of the horses towards the back of the pack as they move towards the half-mile pole and into the far turn. They're going to start to loop the field on the outside, and the race really does start to develop on the outside. The number 9 horse, El Mayor, the eventual winner of this race, is going to make an early move to break this race open right about here. And what's going to happen with Oliver's Fortune, by Eric Cancel choosing to stay inside and ride that pocket, he just kind of gets caught in this position where he's behind tiring runners. He could just back up in his face, and you could see right here, he's not asking this horse at all. He's got nowhere to go. He's now lost position. He's out of the pocket, but he's too far back, whereas he was right alongside that eventual winner, the number 9, El Mayor, at the half-mile pole. By the time they get to the quarter pole, that horse is about a 6 or 7 length head start on him because it got caught in all that traffic, losing position badly coming around the far turn. Now, Oliver's Fortune does get into the clear in the stretch of this race and has an unencumbered run for the final quarter mile. But like I said, he just lost too much position to be competitive with the winner by the time that they got to the quarter pole here. So this is a horse that really did take a step forward, kind of like that barn profile that I was talking about, moving to Aqueduct for this race. And he had run really well, I think, for a different barn at Aqueduct last year. So as long as he stays in the Ralph D'Alessandro stable, competing at this level, I think that he's one that could do better in subsequent starts. So he's a horse that I would follow throughout the winter time. Let's move on to a race from Saturday's card, December 11th. It is race 4. This is a starter allowance race going 6 6.5 furlongs and features a pretty quick pace. Let's break these runners from the gate. And I do want to talk about the situation as it relates to both of these horses. I do, coming out of the gate, want to highlight the number 1, Rudy Rod. You can see that he breaks on the slower side, and watch him striding down the backstretch in the first half furlong. You could see his legs are up in the air, his head's up in the air. He's just climbing, not really handling the sloppy kickback in his face. So he winds up much farther back in the pack than I think he otherwise would have been after that slow break, just reacting badly to all that sloppy kickback coming back at him. So he's just out of position from the start of this race, though he does benefit from that fast pace that I mentioned at the start. The other horse that I do want to focus on from here on out is the number 9, American Gentleman. We just highlighted him. He's in those lime green and blue silks in about 6th place now, moving up on the outside. And his rider just makes a little bit of an error here, because when you have a race that features a fast pace that figures that it's going to collapse, the last thing that you want to do is get too cute and creative trying to split those tyrant runners. And Javier Castellano, the rider of American Gentleman, he has plenty of opportunity to go outside and loop these 3 leaders coming to the top of the stretch. And you can see him highlighted there, just behind him in the lime green cap. But he's whipping right-handed, forces this horse to go to the inside rather than the outside. And you can see what happens right here. He just gets totally sawed off between runners, loses all of that forward momentum that he had, about to go past those horses, but he just gets sandwiched in traffic. And then now he's trying to come in through between horses here, but he's already lost that forward momentum that was so valuable in a race that's falling apart at the end. So he ends up finishing 4th in this race when he arguably would have been 1st or 2nd without that trouble. So just a horse that I think was ready to deliver. I think first off the claim in this race for Gustavo Rodriguez, but really was not able to do so given that trouble in mid-stretch. Rudy Rod, he did close for 5th in this race. Just a horse that I think might have been compromised by that early trouble and would do better, maybe with a bit more ground to work with next time, or potentially in a race that features a slower pace where he can get more into his rhythm and involved early. So both runners that I think ran slightly better than it appears for different reasons and could do better when they run back in the future. So those are all the horses to watch for this week. Remember that if you want to follow these horses in the future, you can add them to your horse watch on DRF.com. Just add these horses to a list and you'll get email notifications when these run back in the future. Thanks for tuning in this week, and make sure to catch future episodes of Horses to Watch on upcoming Wednesdays.